continue on to today. Again, there's nothing new under the sun. Look at this one supposed astronaut. You can see right through him here at the very end. He becomes transparent. I mean, this is just a sick joke that they're playing. I mean, this is obviously just the so-called elite, those behind the scenes, just putting little Easter eggs in here, mocking those that believe in the International Space Station.
Scientists on the moon. Click on this picture right here. Supposedly the same mission, same guys that took the picture of the most famous picture of our Earth. I'm going to do save image as, and let's see, Apollo Moon. Let's call it Apollo Moon 17. And I'm going to open that in Photoshop. And do you guys still see it?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do a different screen share because it's on my other screen. Okay, just a second here. Hang on. I got two monitors, that's why. Okay, can you see? Oh, that's the same thing. Don't. Hang on, sorry. Technical difficulties here. Here we go. Okay. All right, do you see Photoshop?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and if those of you think this technical difficulty was planned and think I'm scamming you, go do it for yourself. Because you're going to find the exact same thing. I got nothing to hide here. This is live on the air, okay? I'm going to zoom in on the Earth in Photoshop. Can you see the Earth?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go to Image, Adjust, Levels, and I'm going to bring the levels over here. And I'm going to bring the levels up. Uh-oh. What is that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. Why is there a square box around the Earth allegedly taken from the scientists on the moon in Apollo 17? And people wonder why I don't trust NASA. That's why I don't trust NASA. I mean, they're always out there saying, Rob, everybody's trying to show you stuff from space and you keep rejecting it. This is why I reject it. These guys are liars,
Yeah, and that's the same technique too that people will use to debunk UFO, pictures and stuff. So it's a legitimate, way to debunk things. That's really interesting.
It is, man. I mean, anybody who has Photoshop can just go to the NASA website, download the photo, do exactly what I did, see for yourself. Now, I think they've gotten better at some of them, where the masking that they're using is not as obvious or even not there at all. But this one clearly was a pasted something on a backdrop. But yet we're told that this is NASA on the moon. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. And then when you look at all the other, so that calls into question the most famous picture, because it's the same people, Apollo 17, that took the most famous picture. Then you got other pictures like this, the blue marble, right, that come out. Okay, well, there's a big problem with the blue marble, and I'm going to zoom in here and show you what the problem is. These are all composite images where they are really not very good at Photoshop because they're using the Photoshop clone tool to replicate clouds. This cloud is a copy of this cloud. See the formations? They're identical. Identical formations, side by side.
Wow.
Right? These right here, side by side, side by side. See this kind of W-looking shape right here, replicated right here. This cloud is exactly the same as that cloud. Same clouds right there, and same thing on the other side of the world. They got the same thing going on. They got careless here. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the same formations replicated right there. These two replicated, same exact formations right here. This right here is clone of that right there. I mean, really? So you're telling me that we could take pictures of Jupiter and Saturn, huge, massive planets, and now we're out going to Pluto, but we don't have one legitimate picture of the Earth from space that's not a composite? Really? This is where, okay, why, Rob, why are you looking into this? This is why. Because we're believing a bunch of Luciferian Nazis, and we're taking that over Scripture. Now, here's another one for you. I put the other screen on. Can you see this right here? The photo journal?
Yeah.
Okay. this is Jet Propulsion Laboratory, NASA, California Institute of Technology, right? They have this video right here. For some reason, every time I click on it on this particular computer, I'm not able to open it, but I embedded it on my blog. The exact same video is embedded in my blog off of YouTube. Somebody had taken it and made a YouTube out of it. Here are other blue marbles, okay, allegedly done by NASA. And if you don't believe me, here's the space.com website where I got the picture. Here's the nasa.gov website where I got this picture. Okay, they can't even get the scale right. Look how big the United States is in this one versus this one. Colors all off. I mean, so far all of these are crap. Here's that picture, that same video, okay, from Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Now, this is allegedly from the space probe Galileo at 6:10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on December 11th, 1990, when the spacecraft was about 1.3 million miles from the planet. Okay, first of all, you got a tiny probe 1.3 million miles away from the Earth, supposedly, that is keeping a perfectly steady shot of a spinning ball that's supposedly also moving at 67,000 miles around the sun in orbit. And yet it maintains a perfect synchronous shot of the Earth. But this is what really got me. Not a single cloud is changing in any way. This is 25-hour time-lapse video. Supposedly 25 hours of the Earth rotating. Not a single cloud is changing, morphing, moving, dissipating, arriving. Nothing.
Wow.
That's what I said. This is a load of crap. And you got a lot of the same cloud features too. You start noticing in a lot of pictures, they're using a cloud map on various software to generate these things. Okay, I could stand outside today, point my camera in the sky for 25 hours, and you're going to see all kinds of cloud formation changes. 25 hours, no clouds are moving? Sorry, I don't buy it.
I don't even want to admit this, but I think the world is flat. And I remember having a reluctance to talk to people about it because it was a paradigm that had to be broken that I knew it was just going to be loaded up with ridicule. I knew it. And in fact...
Who was the first person? Do you remember the first person you tested it on?
Well, there was one person in my family that initially that we had a discussion over it, and they entertained it a little bit in the beginning, and then quickly after that, you know, they wanted no part of it. And so that caused a lot of friction, unfortunately. But so that was the first person that I had a discussion with. But the first person that I had a real discussion about that was open was my partner, Rebecca. And I remember that I had put in the queue to watch on TV. I use Plex, which is I can queue up YouTube videos and watch them on my television. And I said, hey, I've got some videos that I think you might be interested in. And she goes, oh, what are they about? So I said, well, it's about the flat Earth. And she just stopped. I'll never forget this, Jamie. She looked at me and she said, Mike, now you've gone too far. So, right. But she did it in a nice way.
She had been supportive all the way before that, right? She'd been totally supportive of your work.
Yeah, she was very supportive, but the look on her face was very perplexed. I remember that. But look, to her credit, she said, okay, let's watch them. And so we did. And when we did that and afterwards, we started queuing up more and more flat Earth material. And now she's completely on board. So it was one of those things where she had an open mind. She was like, okay, look, all right, this doesn't make sense to me. This cuts across the grain. This is not what we were taught. It seems ridiculous, but you know what? I'm going to go with it. Let me see what this is about. And like I said, you know, I have to full credit to her, to Rebecca, for doing that, because there's so many people that won't do it. They won't even touch it. They won't go there. They'd rather throw rocks and ridicule and make fun of the people that are bringing this information forward. Look, I tell people all the time, whether you believe it or not, it's mind-provoking. It's going to get the critical thinking going, or it should, if you're not completely asleep. But even with that logic, you just still can't win people over. They'll just walk from it and think that we're crazy.
A group of scientists placed 5 monkeys in a cage and in the middle a ladder with bananas on top. Every time a monkey went up the ladder, the scientists soaked the rest of the monkeys with cold water. After a while, every time a monkey went up the ladder, the others beat up the one on the ladder. After some time, no monkey dared go up the ladder, regardless of the temptation. Scientists then decided to substitute one of the monkeys. The first thing this new monkey did was go up the ladder. Immediately, the other monkeys beat him up. After several beatings, the new member learned not to climb the ladder, even though he never knew why. A second monkey was substituted, and the same occurred. The first monkey participated on the beating for the second monkey. The replacements repeated until what was left was a group of 5 monkeys that, even though never received a cold shower, continued to beat up any monkey who attempted to climb the ladder. If you asked the new group of monkeys why the beatings took place, the answer would probably be,
"Well, I don't know. That's just how things are done around here."
The Sumerians, the Nordics, the Vikings, the Aztecs, the Cherokees, the Mayans, the Toltecs, they all had flat earth cosmology. And
Right.
we're never taught one day of this in school. Nobody knows anything. Here, the Egyptian cosmology. The ancient Egyptians believed the ground was a more or less flat disk that floated upon none, the primordial ocean from which creation had begun in time immemorial, and out of which the Nile continued to flow. The sky was a solid, dome-shaped thing and was often said to be the belly of a goddess, typically Nut or Hathor, whose body arched over the earth with her feet on one horizon and her hands on the other. Her midsection was held aloft in the air by God's Shu. Sounds pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, and you know something? This is ubiquitous, Jamie, across the ancient texts and ancient, going back to the ancients. And modern mainstream education wants you to believe that all of these ancient civilizations were just hunters and gatherers and they were clicking rocks together to start a fire, just so that you can just discard any of the stuff that, if anybody does do research, you just discard it as it's completely in the realm of what they refer to as mythology. Although I will argue that mythology, true mythology, is not fiction. There's a lot of truth, nonfiction, and metaphors and analogies that are used in order to communicate and present information. But of course, today, nobody knows any of that. So they just chalk it up as just a bunch of wild-haired storytelling that took place a long time ago. And it can't compete with today because today, this is the technology age. This is the age of information and so on. So it's very interesting that you're on that point because the more we go
Mike,
back...
let me just break you right there and just ask you one question, which will destroy the thing you just said completely. Just one question.
Yeah.
How'd they build the pyramids?
Oh, I know.
That's it. So if you go into this mythology didn't exist, didn't happen. I mean, give me a break, guys. What do we have for knowledge recording today? Thumb drives? I mean, if you don't stop and think these ancients had so much more knowledge than us and respect in awe of what they've left behind for 5,000 years that we still can't figure out today.
Right.
The 13 acres of Giza it's only just like slightly off and it's on fill where they dragged these stones, 2.3 million of them, and laid it in perfect alignment with the heavens. I mean, we've lost contact with our as above by purpose. The light pollution of the cities. They're putting rubber soles under our shoes. I know you did the show on the Beatles.
Right.
I don't know if you covered the fact that Theodore Adorno, the Tavistock Institute guy who wrote the Beatles songs, celebrated the putting rubber under everybody's feet with the Keds and Converse shoes with the album Rubber Soul, disconnected us from the Earth's vibration. And now everybody wears rubber, and no wonder our consciousness can't ascend. But the ancients knew, and they knew of here's ancient Vedics. I mean, the oldest language we have. Herto, son of Neph, born of an egg, descended upon in the highest heaven. He was a most gracious Lord, and in deference to smote against the rocks of heaven. So when the egg was broken, one half the shell ascended, the other half became the foundation of the world. I mean, it's in our cosmology. Here's Nordic. They're held in the branches and roots of the world tree. You get Darasil, which is the tree of knowledge and wisdom. They all had the central roots of the tree, and it went across the pond all the way to the Toltecs, the Tibetans.